Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2 of Ghost Stories that happened to me. The first episode we went over um, basically my first ghost experience and talked about different types of thinking and patterns to help you figure out what's going on and the number one reason people usually see ghosts. But now we're going to start talking about different categories: noises, falling, things that fall happen to me, visual things that I've seen in my family, have seen evil presence, physical evidence, stuff that breaks, and eventually we'll have a video on things that people thought were really weird and creepy and odd, but turned out just to have a plain scientific reason for. And that's what we're looking for. The thinking in this series of videos, we're going to be not looking for magical thinking or religious reasons or other things. We're going to try to think about them from a scientific way and see if we come up with solutions and reasons why, but not be dismissive of those things that we can't figure out. So that's enough talking. Let's get talking about noises. I talked about in the first video about a deep rhythmic slow beat noise I had in the house that turned out to have a reason. It was a train idling like miles away on a track at night, like 1 o'clock in the morning, probably diesel. And it was in one part of the house, it was louder than any other. But that had a reason. But these other things that I've been hearing or have heard, I've never been able to find out what's happening. Let's talk about like something like a chain noise and a hard ball bouncing noise. Started back when I lived at Banyan Bay years ago, back in the 80s. And I've moved 4 times since then. In each place, I've heard them. And I did some research online and trying to find why people would have or hear these noises. And the answer I got online was it's probably a plumbing issue, or there's a chain or something in a plumbing system, and then when a valve is open, it falls or whatever. See if you think this is the answer, and I'll tell you what I've been hearing. In different houses, I'll be in a room, and above me in the ceiling, I'll hear a noise like, let's say you had a round steel ball and you dropped it and it bounced and it'll go boom, 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 like that. That's what I'm hearing, a bouncing. And sometimes when this was happening, there were no people living above me. The other noise I would hear, not as frequently, would be like, let's say you have a chain on a dog collar, like, or maybe a longer one, but very light chain, and you just dropped it, and you'd hear it collapse onto the hard tile floor. 4 different houses, 4 different apartments, I've been hearing those noises, not all the time, not every day, but once I recognized the pattern and I heard this before, I want to hear it again. I've heard this before. Oh, here it goes again. So 4 different houses. I don't remember ever hearing it any other house before then when I was younger, but I guess starting in my 20s, I started hearing these noises. So I have no explanation for them. There probably is. I remember one time I heard a noise, and it was like a squeaking noise, like you'd make like if you were in bed. And for a long time, I thought it must be somebody having sex in bed somewhere. It was, but then it went on for a long, long time, and then like sometime went for a very long time, but it was almost always at night. And I'm thinking that's really weird, but it turned out that it was somebody's ceiling fan, and when they would come home, they would turn it on, and occasionally it would get a certain RPM, and in rhythm, it would start doing the vibration. Then it would stop, but sometimes it would go on for a long time, and it made like a squeaking noise when I was below me. So that was an explanation. Acoustics can be tricky, but the bouncing of the ball that's hard, like a metal ball or a cue ball or something, and the chain dropping, I've never been able to understand what that is. And it's like a lot of times I'm on the computer and it's right above me. It's not like over there, it's right above me. Like basically whenever I hear it, It's not like it's in another part of the house. It's right above me. So like, and I can be in different rooms. So that's kind of unusual. The whispering. This is probably was my imagination. It only happened one time. But what happened before, like I said, who, what, when, where, why, how, what was happening before I heard this whispering? I lived in an apartment on the first floor, the floor above me on Miami Beach, 2-story apartment. This fella dies upstairs, and I never met him. Like one day, I'm at my kitchen, and the mailboxes are outside my kitchen window, and I see a guy looking in, and this person I'd never seen before. And the next day, one of the neighbors who is friends with this guy upstairs goes to visit and finds that he's dead. And now there's a big commotion. The police come and everything, and they come out, and the police ask me, "What do I know?" I've never met the person. I was going to tell him I only saw him one time looking at my window, so I don't want to tell the police that I saw him looking at my window. Now they have a motive, like I'm mad because he was looking at my window. Like, so some old guy, and poor guy, he just passed away kind of unexpectedly. Another guy moves in, much younger guy, maybe younger than me, but he wasn't too healthy. He had some issues because he'd be on the phone all the time talking to his doctor or whatever. And but he'd be on the phone late at night, and the windows were open. I could hear him talking, and he'd be like returning up something, and he was lonely. He'd be talking to people like customer support and having personal conversations. But I think he was in New York or something. And one day, late afternoon, I heard a woman's voice saying, "Randy, Randy," knocking on the door. And now knocking louder and louder. Now, 5 minutes later, oh, I hear this yelling and screaming hysterics. And he had been dead like a couple of days up there. And I could smell something really sickly sweet. Like there used to be this pastry you'd get, and it had like a red filling dough and icing dough, and it had a strange chemical sweet smell to it. This is what I smelled. And then it went dark. The sun went down, and the police cars are outside, and they left their lights on. And so now I've got these flashing lights in the house, and there's another dead person upstairs. This is the second one, like in a couple of months. And I get down on my knees by my bed, and I say a prayer for this guy because it's sad. And I'm praying, and it's these lights are in the because it's dark in my apartment, and all these lights are flashing on and off. There's no siren up, but just the lights, and it's been very emotional. And I'm praying, and now I hear this whispering, like what? And like I'm on my knees praying, and I'm imagining this, but like now it's like closer and it's louder, right? I mean, like I get like, ooh, like what the hell, And like I stop praying and I get up, but I don't like go to the bathroom and just put water in my face. Like this is really spooky, and I don't remember what I did, but it was like the next day, like I started looking uh, around to move to another place, and my mom had been sick, so I moved up here to take care of her. And I left her. I said, I'm not staying there anymore. That was the second person to die. And I think that all that emotional stuff that was happening that day just put me in a state of mind where I was imagining things. So I don't think anything was whispering in my ear, but I heard whispering in my ear. But there was no words. It was just like buzzing, like, like, and it freaked me out. And like two people. My mom always said things happen in threes. Said, I don't want to be the third person. I'm getting out of here. So sometimes you hear noises and you don't have an explanation for it. Next video, we'll talk about falling. But if you guys have any comments about noises or what's your opinion, like I said, I've never heard this again, never heard it before. I don't want to hear it again. But the bouncing and the chain still happens. The the uh, the they're about the same, but it doesn't happen every week or every month. It could go 6 months before I hear it, but it's usually one or the other. So yeah, ghost stories that happened to me. Have they happened to you?